Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Developing the Leader Within podcast. I am so happy because we're celebrating Women's History Month, and I have 4 dynamic speakers in the month of March. We're starting with Rachel Mitchell. She is an executive producer at Elevate Media and helps executives and companies of all sizes and industries to improve their businesses while saving their marketing dollars, and you got to love that. She's also helping people create their own TV shows and episodes. She's a top 10 influencer on LinkedIn and many more awards with her name on it. Rachel, thank you for being with me today on the show.
It is a pleasure. Thank you. It is an honor right now at this time of all time to see so many amazing women come together around the world and make a positive impact. And it's impacting so many businesses and lives. And it is a pleasure to be with you today because of that. Thank you.
And just fresh off of the International Women's Day, which I saw so many great posts and so many highlights of women doing great things. That is why I have you on the show today, because I've been noticing all the great things that you're doing, not only in multimedia and production, but hey, helping people out on a day-to-day basis. It's so encouraging to see you take that helm and drive it down the street. And folks, we're going to be talking about leadership and multimedia, which is one of my favorite things, being a podcaster. But first, Rachel, tell us a little bit about you.
I am an executive producer of several television series, some of them for others. It's interesting. I tell people that I'm pretty much, for a lot of shows that they may even know, like a ghost producer, kind of like a ghostwriter behind the scenes. I have brought teams together to help produce shows that are filming around the world and that air nationally within the US. And some of our shows air on History Channel, A&E, Discovery, within the network there, Fox. And it's really an exciting time because of media being so accessible. And I think that it's an exciting time for everybody to engage online. I was born in Canada, and I started my interest in production over there. But a lot of people do not know that I had zero experience starting in the industry. I really did learn by observation. And within a year, I realized that I had an opportunity to bring sponsorship to a lot of programs that would create engaging content for brands and businesses within television series, impactful long-term views, and that would translate into more than just a sale. So I have really become someone who's an expert in sponsorship as opposed to sales, but of course I understand sales as well. And I like to share that with people around the world. And of course, my shows Built in America, Innovation Nation, Sustainable Nation, and the longevity series that I was working on since 2020 have all been inspired by the great people that I've met out there online through engaging and learning about their needs.
That's absolutely wonderful to hear, because you mentioned having no experience going in. So tell us a little bit about what sparked your passion for production, because it's not an easy thing, right? Not everybody can get behind the scenes and see and vision what it should look like and just orchestrate all that. So what led you to that?
That's an interesting question. I think the good news is I truly feel that everybody can do what I've done within their interest and their passion. If you have something that you're interested in and you find yourself spending time looking at it and observing it, you have a wealth of knowledge especially if you could humble yourself and find a way to help others within that industry. And that's exactly what I did, starting with home improvement television. I saw the need for these companies who had, little products that were being used. They needed people to know about it, but they needed that engagement and that use within these programs, whether they're building a home, or in manufacturing later on in some of my other shows, to be associated with some of the great manufacturers of all time, and to be able to share what they have. So basically, the was not in production itself, it was in what was being produced. I loved the idea of homes being transformed from not looking so good to being beautiful. I loved flipping homes and the whole concept behind that, which inspired income property. I was really drawn to that earlier on with home improvement. And then I realized that there's these opportunities to put things that I care about and help people together. And with the home improvement shows that I did here in the US, whether it be building or sorry, decorating or redecorating a space for a veteran coming home, or whether it be honoring someone who's in need with a space, all those causes were something that I aligned with. So it just made sense. So when you pay attention to what others need, and you have this desire to, you know, view things yourself, there's a good chance others want to view it as well. So in other industries, I've been able to translate that for other executives, where they've been able to expand their reach and their audience, just by what merely makes sense based on what's out there. So that's something everybody can do. And production is so accessible these days. You can learn so much, like on YouTube and all over, the internet, I'm sure. But more importantly, with social media, you could access people directly, and you can share good things that you create. And when you do good, it does garner attention over time.
That's beautiful. You mentioned not starting without a background, without experience. Podcasting was that for me, right? I was a leader teaching and instructing in leadership development. And I decided, hey, like everybody else, we hit a wall in 2020 they called a
Mhm.
pandemic, and we had to figure out how to continue to propagate the messages that we want folks to get. And this became out of that, right? This came out of that. And so you're right when you talk about everybody can do it. You just got to be brave enough. And there's a lot of leaders out there that are brave enough, but there's a lot that are not. And so, can you tell us a little bit about the importance of knowing what medium to transmit your message in? Because there are many.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I know some wonderful women around the world, and men, who are on multiple platforms. Some of them are on one and having a lot of success there, and some are on every single one. And it's a lot of work, as you can imagine, on top of folks who are all, creating their own podcasts and all the work that that is, which I entirely understand, especially if it's quality, right? I think that there is room for everybody. And I don't believe that you need to be on every platform, nor does it make sense. A lot of people are not aware that I was not active on social media until 2020. I actually was, one of those people that have a Facebook page but just never go to it, or go to it like once a year. That was me. And I decided in 2019, late 2019, that we were going to launch the longevity series, which is about increasing and improving human life, as I was observing such amazing people out there like you, who aren't aging like others, right? And celebrities, of course, that are out there as well. And I just thought that it was fascinating that the science and technology was progressing. So I started to research, and I wanted to be on LinkedIn because I realized that my research was going nowhere on Instagram or other places because the true leaders behind the scenes for longevity were not there. They may pay a celebrity to endorse, a tea or a cream or a product on some of these other platforms, but the people who are in the lab and the researchers and the CEOs and the executives and the people investing billions of dollars to try to regenerate organs, from human tissue, they were on LinkedIn. So I went on LinkedIn just to engage with those people, to learn from them, because I just was admiring all the progress and what was really in the works, so to speak. And then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, I put the longevity series on hold because obviously with health and wellness, there was a priority now, which is to survive. We were not going to be able to travel to wellness spas around the world and to feature labs from around the world. So I just started to listen to the people who were on LinkedIn. And I discovered that there was such an incredible need for people to be inspired to create and evolve during that time, whether it be their careers or their businesses, and others were calling it obviously pivoting during that time and change. And I realized that with my background, understanding sponsorship, understanding manufacturing and building and all these companies and all these other industries, that I could help these other people, make their transition. So I stayed on LinkedIn and I started posting on LinkedIn and didn't expect to get the reception that I got over time. And I stayed for the people because I got some messages that some of my posts even saved their lives. And I felt such a responsibility after that, to stay. And they were the ones that kept me posting every single day for an entire year because I didn't want to leave them alone during that time. And I discovered that we're all so connected around the world, and that the platform will feel right. You'll know. You'll know if people that resonate with what you resonate with are there. You'll engage with them and they'll engage back. And it is scary at first, and it is lonely at first. I remember my first post, two likes were on it, and one of those likes was mine. I liked it myself because I'm like, oh, it's good. But yeah, that's how it started. And it was slow, but over time, by connecting with certain individuals and really helping them behind the scenes, the word spreads. And being a part of that network, it will grow others who are connected to you. So that's why I champion the message to keep connecting, especially with people outside of your industry that are bringing value, because you never know how that can come back and help so many more, including yourself.
Well, Rachel, that's a true servant heart and a true leader's heart to stay there. And you mentioned something interesting, which takes me to this next question. Um, Knowing where to be, right? Knowing where it's serving you, your company, your people, and your career is one of the things that leaders have challenges with, because they like to be everywhere all at once. And we all know that not every platform will suit the need that we have to support others. So, what are some ways leaders can use multimedia to their advantage for their company, the people, and their career? Because sometimes it could get challenging.
Absolutely. I think that the people that I found, that are, I'd say, quote, are winning right now, even during the most challenging times and during the pandemic, that I've seen grow companies beyond what they were even before the pandemic, including myself with the people that I work with behind the scenes. All of us have something in common. There's a level of humility where it's not about us. And when gaining popularity, a lot of people tend to try to put their face out there and put themselves forward. But it's really about paying attention to what is needed. And throughout my journey, there's times where I didn't have as much video of myself out there or pictures of myself and so forth, because I knew that behind the scenes, I could help others. I could help them grow their businesses, and I needed to, allocate the time. Having that ability to step back and listen and observe in all media now, and multimedia is so key. I think that's why someone like myself with zero experience can reach millions and garner so much. It's because we're able to observe what works, and the intention is so much bigger than ourselves. So what I recommend everyone who's on social media to do is to observe. And if you are on a certain platform, observe other platforms as well and see what works and what resonates. And if that does resonate with your brand or your company or your intentions or cause, then that is something that you can utilize. And what I mean by that is if there's certain video ads that even that you see that are like, wow, I love that. That is so cool. Like if it gives you that reaction when you watch it, then maybe that's something you could implement within your own company. Something similar that is so cool or makes you laugh or makes you smile or wows you, so to speak, right? So observing multimedia in general, I think, is key right now in 2022. Seeing what really works, not relying on what people are telling you that works, because certain platforms like TikTok are not working for certain brands because they're trying to make it work because it is something to do. You could try and throw your hat into every arena for your business or even for your self promotion. Absolutely, there's no harm in that. But it is very important to observe to see what happens next, what resonates, what feels right, what's congruent with your message and your cause. I think anybody who is growing a career or a business should be on LinkedIn. It makes sense. It is a place where you can share beyond even business or career aspirations or goals or insights, and you could connect with like-minded individuals, and that's always a good thing. On some of the other platforms, it's really a sounding board, a back and forth. There is business being done on all the platforms, but the intention of a lot of people on the platforms is not to improve business or to, grow a career. So LinkedIn is really great for that. I'm glad that I went on to LinkedIn to research, wellness and health facilities and leaders and doctors and researchers. And at the same time, I realized that there's a lot more people um, there, obviously, that are in the space that touches a lot of the other productions that I was working on, Built in America and innovation and so forth. So it made sense to engage. So my advice is to observe and to engage with what resonates with you. And the answers will come. It will feel right.
Absolutely. Leaders, we all know you don't want to use a hammer to cut paper, right? So it's one of those things with social media as well. Find out what feels right, resonates with people. The platform is, they all have their own little things. And so
Mhm.
you have to know the background between what those differences are in order to be successful and have longevity. We talk about longevity, right? Have
I,
longevity on
I'm so
multimedia.
glad that you mentioned that. I'm so glad you mentioned that because So originally, as you know, I joined LinkedIn to learn about longevity from others. And one of the followers that I had at the time said, "You need a hashtag so we can find you faster. You need a hashtag." And I didn't want it to be my name because I was never trying to promote myself, and I didn't know what to call it. And I was on the set one day, and as I entered, and the crew was like, "Oh, here comes the first lady. She's our first lady." And I was like, "Interesting, lady, right?" So then I was like, okay, because longevity is obviously a hashtag for some people, even in the bio space. So I created the hashtag Lady Longevity and just stuck with it. And this is how amazing, things are in life, that as longevity series was put on hold, and I decided to stay, as I mentioned, to inspire others and to help other companies. I realized that longevity had a lot to do with that as well. There's a spirit to it. Those same people who seem to be doing well long term, who inside and out, who are healthy, who don't seem to be aging like others. There's something more. It's not just physical, it's there's a spirit to them. And I think there's a mindset, there's a mentality. Again, there's a humility, egos out of the way for some of them, and they're just loving life and just trying to create great things, and help others and spread good news and all that good stuff. So longevity in business, I feel, is the same. And I credit all the longevity that I've had within the industries that I've been able to touch, having to do with that as well. Being able to be willing to step back and do what is in service to others, and you'll always win.
Absolutely, it is a spirit. You're talking, and I'm thinking about myself. What makes you uh, defy time and age with your physical has a lot to do with your inside. I am a very joyous, loving kind of person, and so it just feeds me, right? It feeds me. You won't see it on my face. I got more wrinkles because I smile so much. That's why that's why I get my wrinkles
That's a
from.
good thing.
Right. So as we talk in longevity, and we talk that there was a pause, what can we expect from Rachel, from the productions and all that here in the next coming month to the year?
Well, what's interesting is a lot of the spin-off shows are still going on. Shows that are tied to longevity. I've been working behind the scenes for them to launch their own shows. For the longevity series itself, that's to be seen. That's to be determined what's going to happen next with that. But I do know that for myself as Lady Longevity, that will continue on. And more importantly, because of the amazing people on LinkedIn, I truly want to share the secrets and all that I know that I've garnered to get to where I am, that works within different industries. So I do plan on launching and sharing more information on networking, what I call networking, 2022 and beyond, is really different than what it was back in the day, because we're living in a digital age, because we're stepping into metaverse, because there's all kind of things happening now, as we know. And even whether it be with currency and connectivity and the ability to impact lives all around the world. And a lot of people are successful, but they have not been able to tap in outside of their country or certain industry, merely because they haven't even tried and they haven't connected with certain people. And it really is in the power of engaging and connecting with people. And these days, you can just go on a social platform and you can have a conversation with someone that is the head of industry, it's really an amazing time. I think it's going to transform our children's lives. They're really going to be ahead of the curve, being able to understand how to connect online as well as in person, not losing either one.
And that's so important. Rachel, I thank you so much for sharing today with me, uh, breaking open the month where we celebrate women around the world. It has been such a pleasure to see you engage on LinkedIn and all the things that I've seen you do. I wish you a ton of success on your future shows here. And if you have one last thing to tell a leader concerning multimedia, what would that be?
When it comes to multimedia, it is about being present and engaging. And a lot of the great leaders right now understand that more than ever. So you are seeing CEOs being present, whether it be on social media or on other platforms. And we may even see them in the metaverse one day soon. We're talking about the heads of industry. Jeff Bezos is online. There's people who are on LinkedIn who are, you know, the top of the top for each industry, and they're there for a reason. And it's because everyone that they want to have these conversations with are there as well. So as a leader, I think it's very important that you are present. You don't need to become a influencer yourself. You can engage with certain influencers, especially those in business or tied to your industry. It makes sense because it's a way to power network these days, that is beyond what we were able to do before, in conferences. So it has even evolved since the pandemic. So that is key, is to be present, hire people who are present, hire people who are able to influence others by engaging.
That's
Yeah.
absolutely powerful. Uh, Being present is the present. That's the gift you give people, to be there and be present. And I'm reminded about that all the time because I have a big family and trying to splice myself to being different. But you show the importance of a person when you void yourself of everything else and give them the attention that they deserve. Right? They may need it, but they also deserve it. And a leader that can do that is definitely going to make some impact. So, Rachel, thank you so much for
Thank you.
being with me today. If somebody wanted to get a hold of you, what would be the best way to do that?
I am active on LinkedIn. I'm getting over 1,000 new messages daily, so it does get jammed in there. I do have a number that you can text to that is at the top of my profile for business inquiries. But more importantly, I believe following and subscribing, hitting that bell, whatever it is that you need to do to keep updated with what I have coming up is probably a good idea if you're in business or growing, because I freely do want to share what I call is the good news when it comes to networking and taking it to the next level. And I will be releasing more information on that, and you'll get notified if you follow.
Yeah, one of the best things LinkedIn could have done was to put that bell as part of your profile. So, folks, if you are looking at Rachel's profile and you see that little bell, hit it, because I sure have thoroughly enjoyed being part of her network and seeing all the things coming out that she is producing and releasing there. Rachel, thank you once again for being with me to celebrate Women's History Month. And like I mentioned earlier,
I got to mention one thing about that. Another thing about women, which I feel is so empowering right now, is I've never seen more than ever women coming together. And a big mistake that a lot of people do, especially influencers who may have a large following on some of the other platforms, that have a following that may be predominantly male or whatnot. that is not supporting and uplifting other women, this is the time to do it. Women are so powerful. And when I first started on LinkedIn and even other platforms, I made sure to reach out to women that I just wanted to support. And I wanted them to know that no matter how successful they get or if they go through hard times, I'll still be there. And I think that's so important for women to come together right now. A key to my success has been supporting other women. And I do see others doing that as well. And it's such a great time for that.
I tell you that most of all of my success has come from the support of women on LinkedIn. Uh, and I do the same first. Actually, a lot of my contacts are women for the sole purpose of making sure that their voice is amplified, because sometimes it's muffled, right, by noise or by thoughts or by feelings. But I want to make sure that I am one of those catalysts to make sure that their voices are heard and heard loud, right? So once again, thank you, Rachel, for being with us. Folks, we've been talking about leadership and multimedia, how to use that to your advantage for yourself, your company, and your people. Rachel has shared her contact information, but I will make sure that it's part of the video and show notes so you can get that. If you've enjoyed this episode and learned something interesting about the topic covered today, make sure to subscribe and let us know by leaving a comment on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. Right now, we're always looking for new ideas and guests that can add to our show. So if you know someone and have a topic that you would like featured on the podcast, we love to hear about it. And you can do that by emailing us at triadleadershipsolutions@gmail.com. Be sure to tune in next week where we have another great guest for another episode where we dissect leadership from another angle. And as we like to end the show, success to you.